So I'm gonna give y'all the tea.
Only been a few hours, but it felt like days. Only been days, but it felt like months.
Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to another video. You guys know I don't ever do too many sit down videos, but whenever I want to come in here and just talk to y'all and just have a one-on-one, you know, I don't mind sitting down and talking to y'all a little bit and just doing one of these sit down and talk videos. So I just had to say that because y'all know I'm usually on the go and we usually in a vlog. But welcome to the channel. My name is Megan. If you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you are notified whenever I post a new video. And if you aren't new here and you're one of my OG subscribers, hey girl. So yeah, as you can see by the title of what we finna talk about today, like this is the tea. We finna get into the nitty gritty, the good, the bad, the ugly. We finna get into it all. I feel like I have been in this game for going on 10 years, probably over 10 years. Going on 10 years because I started my journey back in 2016. So we finna get into it. We're just about to talk about entrepreneurship. This ain't gonna be no formal nothing. We finna just sit down, we finna talk, we finna have this one-on-one, we finna be casual. It's just whatever is whatever. So I'm finna give y'all the tea. So if you're interested, just go ahead, get you some wine, get you some popcorn, get you a drink, and let's sit down and have some time. All right, so as y'all know, I am a licensed esthetician in the state of Tennessee and the state of Mississippi. So I am in both. If y'all hear some beeping or whatever, that's my computer, but I'm actually gonna like mute that. So yes, I am dual licensed in 2 states. Like I said, I got my license back in 2016 in Tennessee, and then I moved over to Mississippi. So I worked a few, retail jobs and worked some jobs before I actually went off on my own. I was working at a widely known franchise before I went off on my own and became a solo entrepreneur, solo business owner. And it was great. It was great starting out. I started when COVID hit, and when I left that job, I actually started working out of my apartment for about 8 months before I finally moved into a suite. And that's where it pretty much all began. And I know a lot of businesses suffered during COVID when 2020 came, but I was so fortunate and so blessed for my business to actually like flourish, y'all. Like I kind of grew. Even though I was in my apartment, people were kind of like, ooh, we found somebody that's still waxing, because a lot of places like that had to shut down. Like they had to stop all businesses and stuff. So a lot of businesses did not thrive and had to like literally shut down and just did not make it through COVID. It was such a sad time. But I was waxing out of my apartment, and so I was still kind of up and going, and that's when my business grew. So I was able to move out of my apartment and move into a suite. That was my first suite, and I got my first suite in July of 2020 is when I got my first suite. I moved out of my apartment and moved back home in August or September, I should say. So first thing is first is overhead. Overhead is probably gonna be one of your biggest expenses when it comes to being a solo entrepreneur, an entrepreneur in general. So like I said, I'm a licensed esthetician. A lot of what I do, I can work, I'm not gonna say pretty much anywhere, but you can work from home. You don't have to have a lot of overhead. You just need a little bit of space and you're good. So, but you get to a point where you're tired of people coming in and out your house. You don't know who's coming in and out your house. Like that's your kingdom. Like that's your place that you relax, that you is peaceful, and you don't want just any and everybody coming in and out your house. Now I was thankful to not have any crazy people coming in and out of my apartment, but at some time your business grows and you just kind of outgrow being in a situation or an environment like that. So that's when I moved to my suite. And so that's an extra expense. You have to keep in mind that when you are moving out and your clientele grows, which is good, you have to get overhead, or you have to move into a space where it's more public, you know, that's not your home. And, you know, that's what you want to do. It's just what you want to do, and you just have to, you know, that comes with your business growing. So the first expense is going to probably be your overhead. Do I recommend you getting straight out of school and going straight into a suite or getting some overhead? Possibly not, because with overhead you're probably going to be paying anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 a month on overhead at this point. The way our economy is these days, you're going to be paying just a little bit, whether that's weekly, whether that's monthly, or however your landlord or wherever you are breaks it down. That's just what you're going to be paying, unless you find somewhere that, you know, you can get for about 4, 5, 6. Now, when I first moved into my first suite, that's how much I was paying. I was paying about $4 something a month, which is not terrible. For the space that I had, it was not terrible. It was like a steal. Like, it was actually like a steal. So I was fortunate. But now where I am, I'm paying about $1,200 a month. My previous place, I was paying about $15 a month, but I had a much bigger space. And so I kind of got to the point where I'm like, I don't need all this space. I can downgrade. So I moved into another suite. So whenever you're a business owner, or, you know, a solo waxer, solo whatever, whatever you do, you wax, you do lashes, you do makeup, you do hair, you're a barber, whatever you do, facial, whatever, you know, you have to think about your overhead. All right, so now that we got overhead out the way, now I done moved into my suite. I'm working, I'm bringing my clients here. We got a new place, we got a new suite, we making our money, you know, everything is good. We making, you know, and keep in mind, when I first started this was pre-child. Now I have a 1-year-old son, and so things are different now than they were back then. It was just me. So I was working. Like, I'd work like 5 to 7, sometimes 7 days a week. But it was typically like 5 to 6 days a week. I gave myself 2 days off. And your girl was working. I was busting at hours like 10 to 4, 10 to 5, 10 to 7. You know, and some days I would be booked. Like, I was making my coins, y'all. I was in my bag, I was traveling, I was just doing whatever, you know. It's just, the money was coming, like, it was coming. And it's still, you know, coming. This is a very lucrative, demanding industry. So if you're in this industry, then you know, the money just comes. But it's not always like this. But this is always, this is also an industry where one week you can make $3,000 and the next week you can just be barely making $300. That's just, with this industry, that's just how it is. And even as an entrepreneur, you know, with anything, you have a good week and then you have a bad week. I mean, and that's with anything that you do as an entrepreneur. With the beauty industry, it's like, we're in an industry where it's a luxury. It's not a need. Now, some people may feel like we need this. Like, I feel like I need my hair done. I feel like I need my nails done. I feel like I need my wax. I feel like I need my lashes done, because, baby, I look like a burnt chicken without my lashes. You know, some people prioritize different things. And so you may feel like you need these services, but in all reality, we don't need these. These are luxury services, and these are wants, you know, at the end of the day. And so some people are going to treat them as such. Like I said, one week you may be booming, you know, booked to the T, which that's how I was back then. I was working it, girl. And then the next week you may not have anything. You may not have nobody, which is how I was probably 2 weeks ago. It's just crazy. Let's jump to right now. 2024, I just happened to really notice a decrease in clientele. Like, even with my reports on my merchant, like the numbers were lower. And I'm just like, it just seems like it is slower. Like, it has been a slow summer. If anything, with what I do, I'm a waxer. The summer times are our months. That's when we make our bags. That's where you run up a check. And this is where you start to set aside, for those winter months, because it slows down. Not many people are waxing during the colder months. But you still have some that wax throughout the year. But typically, your summertime is up here, your wintertime is here. So, you run up your bags in the summertime and start saving for those colder months because you don't make as much or you're slower. But when I say this whole year so far has just been slow, you have your weeks where it's a little bit higher in volume, but then you have your weeks where it's like where everybody at? Like, what y'all doing? Y'all don't need y'all wax. But honestly, in today's time, in 2024, right now, inflation and the economy is crazy. Like, crazy. People are saving more money. People aren't spending on certain things, and they're not spending it on things like this. Some still are, but some aren't. I'm gonna be real. There will be days and weeks where I'm like, dang, I may need to get a job. I may need to get a 9-to-5 or something. And I'm not the only one. I have literally asked other people in the industry, have you been slow? Have you been abnormally slow? Literally, when I went and got my hair done today, I asked her, I was like, have you been slow? And she was just like, yes. She's like, yes, literally, yes. She said literally last week she had not one person, which is crazy. It's crazy when you literally can go from being booked and people can barely get in with you to literally having nobody. Nobody. And that's just what comes with entrepreneurship, and part of it, especially with the service industry that we are in. I have clients who do hair, I have clients who do nails, I have clients who do makeup, I have clients who do all, and they all have said the same thing. It's just with entrepreneurship, it can go up and down. It can fluctuate so much. And that's another thing that I like to touch on with entrepreneurship, is depending, and I always say, y'all, keep in mind, this is depending on whatever job or whatever genre or whatever category you are in as an entrepreneur. I am in the beauty industry. You may have somebody that's in the financial industry. You may have somebody that's in the music industry. You may have somebody that's doing something totally different as an entrepreneur. But I'm solely speaking on the beauty industry. So keep that in mind. I wanted to speak on was how the income can fluctuate so much. I feel like it's, for me, and maybe this is just part of my budgeting that's not where it needs to be. I feel like it's been hard for me to budget because we fluctuate so much. If you're working a regular 9-to-5, you pretty much, you're on a salary, you pretty much know how much your check is going to be every week, every 2 weeks, once every quarter, how often you get paid. You typically have a gist, or so you can kind of plan out to budget your check. You get paid every 2 weeks on the dot, and you're set. You can budget, you can put the cash in your envelopes, you can do whatever. But then you have people like me that's on this side where, like I said, you can make $2,500 in 1 week, and then next week you can make $250. When I say the fluctuation can literally be that crazy, it can be that much of a jump. People book and then they reschedule and then they cancel. So it's almost, I hate to say, but it's almost like you are giving your clients or other people the power of your livelihood, I guess you could say. Since this is all that I do, this is my livelihood, this is how I make my money, this is how I live, this is how I take care of my child, or me and my child, and take care of everything else that I have to do. This is what I rely on. Some weeks you're like, okay, I'm booked, I can have a Saturday that is booked from 9:30 to 3:30, And then by Friday night, my Saturday only has like 4 people on it because people have canceled or people have rescheduled or people just whatever, or they no shows or they can't come, a late cancellation, whatever the reason may be. And that's okay. That's okay. You know, things happen, life happens. But it's just at the end of the day, like that's money that's taken out of my pocket. You know, that's like going to work and knowing that you're not getting paid, or they tell you, oh, you're not getting paid today. You know, it's kind of like that in a sense, but I don't get upset. I don't get mad because like I said, things happen. I've had to cancel. I've had to reschedule. You know, people who reschedule within the allotted time, within the 24 hours, fine. I don't question it, whatever. The only thing I do question, or that kind of, you know, triggers me a little bit, is if somebody does a late cancellation, like you cancel an hour before your appointment. Now that's a spot that is now open and it's too late to fill. It doesn't give anybody any time to, it doesn't give me time to book that spot, you know, and make that money from that spot. So you could plan to, oh, today I'm gonna make my $800 today, but by the end of the day, you've only made like $5 because $300 has rescheduled or canceled or whatever they want to do. So that you have to consider that as well, because like I said, these aren't services that you have to have. These are wants, these are luxury services. And that's just something that you keep in mind. 85-90% of the time, people keep their appointments because they're like, oh girl, I need to get in here. I'm finna go on vacation. I'm finna see my man. I got a pool party, or I got a competition, or I got this event to go to, you know, whatever, where they need a service done. And so they gonna come. So it's not often where people will do the cancellation or the reschedule, but you know, it does happen. It happens. And so that does affect your money. You know, as an entrepreneur, we don't get PTO. We don't get FMLA. We don't get any of that. If we don't work, we're not getting paid. If you're sick, you don't get paid. You know, when you go on maternity leave, you don't get FMLA where you are gone for 6 weeks and you get paid. Like, while you're gone, you just are gone and you're not getting any income in. So yeah, let me reiterate, if you don't work, baby, you're not getting paid unless you on some type of government assistance or I don't know. But as an entrepreneurship, you ain't got no company that's paying you for your time off. You're just not. If you're not here, you're not getting any money. That's just what that is. So that's another thing to keep in mind as an entrepreneur. All right, so now another thing that we want to talk about as an entrepreneur, and this is probably one of the things that's super annoying that nobody wants to talk about and nobody likes to have to do as an entrepreneur, is taxes. Good old Uncle Sam. Like, you can't get away from them. You can't get away from taxes. And baby, when I say, I'm gonna be real with y'all. When I say taxes will eat you a lot, well, I ain't gonna say they eat you. Like, if you stay on top of them, you're gonna be good. Let's just stay on top of your taxes. But baby, there was a time where taxes ate me alive, because it's almost like, what is this extra for? It's like you making your money, you're doing what you're doing, and then boom, you gotta pay $1,500, or you gotta pay $1,200, or you gotta pay $2,500. And you're like, what is this for? And it's for taxes. You can't be working and making all this money for free and not give us our cut to the state, to the federal, like federal and state. And I'm like, you can't catch a break. And honestly, I feel like taxes are more when you are a solo entrepreneur. When you're doing this stuff on your own, there's a higher percentage on taxes. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but when I was working a 9-to-5, yeah, they took taxes out, but it wasn't like, I don't know, it just seemed like it wasn't as much as this is, like it is now as an entrepreneur. And I'm not trying to scare you, it's just reality. And typically, as an entrepreneur, you make more money than you would at a 9 to 5. That's typically why people go the entrepreneur route. You see, but it's like, I mean, that's just the way the world goes. The more money you make, the more taxes you have to pay. So, or the more money they take. That's just another thing with it, is that when you pay taxes, or as an entrepreneur, we don't get the added benefits that come with the jobs, you know? Like, you have to go out and seek that stuff on your own, and it's typically more expensive. It is, and I hate it just as much as you do, versus, you know, you're working your 9 to 5 job, you're working with a company, you know, you get your vision, dental, and health taken out of your check, and it's maybe, let's see, adding all three of them together, you're probably taking out about $100, or maybe $200 or $300 if you have dependents or something. Like, that's like $200 that comes out of your check for those three things. But as a solo entrepreneur and somebody who's doing individual insurances, you're probably going to pay $300 for health alone. You're probably going to have to pay like $20 to $50 for dental. And I don't know how much you have to pay for vision. I've never had to do vision, but I do have health and dental. Now I have a better, I've shopped around and I have a better health, you know, bill, health premium, and a dental premium is much better. But baby, when I first started, I think I was paying like $340 something for my health insurance alone. And it wasn't even taken everywhere. It was not, I mean, it was kind of popular, but all doctors' offices didn't take it. Shoot, if I'm paying that much, it needs to be accepted worldwide at every doctor. Like, for real, $300 versus you're working a 9 to 5 and whatnot, and they only taking about $25, $30 out for your health insurance. Yeah, that's just another thing that comes with entrepreneurship. You have to pretty much outsource all your own benefits or your health insurances and things like that. You know, like I said, we don't work for companies who provide that type of thing for us. So that's something you have to keep in mind as well when you become an entrepreneur, like a solo entrepreneur. Alrighty, so the next thing I'm going to touch on with being an entrepreneur in the beauty industry as a solo waxer is supplies and inventory. So as a solo entrepreneur, you have to supply all those things yourself, and you have to take that into account when you are, you know, budgeting out your business expenses and things like that. So we aren't with a company that's going to provide you all of your items. When you first start your business as a solo entrepreneur, solo whatever, you know, you have to buy all your own stuff, whether that's a table, whether that's your wax pot, your lashes, your own makeup. You have to build your inventory, and then you have to make sure you have 10 of the things. You have to keep it going. It's cash flow. I mean, that's what it is. You're constantly buying things. Like for me, for example, I'm constantly buying wax. I'm constantly buying sticks. I'm constantly buying product, you know, things like that, trash bags, bed tables, tweezers, things like that. You're constantly buying over and over again because you have to replenish. You have to keep it stocked. You have to keep it replenished, because if I don't have wax, I can't work. And if I'm not working, I'll make no money. We already talked about that. You have to make sure you have all your supplies in your inventory on deck, which, depending on what area you're in, can get a little expensive. Wax has literally gone up $100+ within the last few months. Like every year, inflation is insane, like insane. I remember I was ordering wax one day, and I'm used to it being a certain number. Why the next time, maybe a month or two, like 2 or 3 months later, I went back and it had literally went up $40. $40. As the business owner, you have to make the business decision to up your prices, because if you don't, you're not going to be making a profit. And that's what you have to do. You have, that's your P&L, your profit and loss. You are, it's like it's a constant cash flow. So you're bringing in the money, but then you're having to, the money is still going back into the business, meaning you're buying your tablecloth, your bed paper, your candles, your soap, your mirrors, your frames, your whatever expense you have to spend on the business, the money is just going back into the business. So you can, you can make 6 figures a year easily in this industry. So say, let's throw out some numbers. So say you make $185,000 in a year. Boom, almost 200K in a year. What you as the business owner is bringing home alone, that's without any outside of your supplies, outside of what went back into the business, you'll probably bring home about 75 of that, 75,000, I'm sorry, of that. So yeah, I mean, you can do the math. I mean, a lot of your money is just going right back into the business, which it is supposed to. It's supposed to. If you have somebody go and do your taxes and be like, oh, you don't have any expenses and you just took all your money, like, that doesn't show that you don't have a cash flow, you're not paying any taxes. Like what are you doing with the money? Are you just pocketing it, or are you not writing it out? Like things like that. And that's not just things that you have in your physical room. That's the uniform you wear to work. That's your Apple Watch that you use to make sure you're on time, your iPad that you're using to check people out, the TV that you have in your room to watch your people, the ring lights, the candles to keep your room smelling good. Anything can be counted as an expense. The mirror that you have so your clients can look at when you finish their lashes. So it's so much that goes into your expenses as a business owner. Like, I have to pay dues every year or every quarter. I have to keep my licenses up. It's a ton of different little things that you just have to keep up with, and they cost. Like, unfortunately, it just costs. Like, there's nothing that's free within like a business. And I'm just gonna be real with y'all. Like, there has been many of days that I'm kind of in that burnt out spot right now, where I'm like, to hell with all of this. Like, I'm gonna go get me a job. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes it's really easier to wake up and go to somebody else's establishment and work and come home and just live your life. When you're an entrepreneur, work follows you. Work comes home with you. So when I leave here after waxing all day, I have to go home and do marketing. I have to snap emails. I have to send out texts. I have to look to see what my books are for tomorrow. I may have to go get some supplies. I may have to go shopping, like I said, get more supplies, or I'm working on a video, or I'm doing something, that pertains to the business. And I will say that being an entrepreneur has its pros and cons, but it's very rewarding. A lot of people think, oh, you get to make your own schedule. Oh, you get to do whatever you want to do. You don't have to listen to anybody. Yeah. Yeah, that's part of it. But it's still like you're your own everything. You're the owner, you're the operator, you're the boss, you're the manager, you're the mediator, you're the therapist, you're the tech, you are the janitor, you are everything. You can't go to nobody and be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You have other fellow entrepreneurs that can help you out and walk you through, and you kind of bounce ideas off each other and bounce emotions off each other and talk to each other. But I mean, it gets stressful sometimes. It definitely does, because everything is on you. You do everything yourself. Now, if you go into business with somebody and you have a partner or whatever, then yeah, sure. I'm sure it does get a little bit easier, and sometimes it gets a little bit harder. Some people rather be in business themselves, So it just all depends on what you want to do and what area of entrepreneurship you want to go in. Some people have business partners and they do fine. I've seen people who are business partners and they do great. At least it's somebody that you can kind of, cope with. You can kind of talk to. You can bounce ideas and stuff off each other, because you're working for the brand. Like, you're coming together for each other. Versus one person, it's just you. You have to figure out everything on your own. And if you want a social media marketer, if you want somebody to edit your videos, if you want somebody to come in and do this, that, and the other, you're going to pay for it. you know, and that's the thing. You have to, if you want to outsource these things, it's another expense. You can write it off as a business expense, which is great, but it's something else that you do have to count in as an expense to help make your life easier, because it can get very, very stressful at times. I want to constantly reiterate that entrepreneurship is amazing. It is great. It's all about how you make it. But I like to tell people that who want to just jump into it for the fun of it, you know, it's like, oh, I get to do whatever I want to do. I don't have to listen. If you want to do it right with all of your ducks in a row, it's not for the weak. I mean, you have to be up front and center doing your job as the service provider, and you have to make sure all your ducks in a row. Are you licensed with the state? Are you licensed with your city? Do you have your business license? Are you up to date with everything? Are you paying your taxes? I mean, all of that, like all of that comes into play. Is your occupancy license up to date? Do you have all of these things in order that you need? So you have to literally have a come to Jesus moment sometimes. And like, I feel like I have kind of reached that point, and I've hit that point multiple times. But then the next day I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine. Well, I'm motivated again. And so let's really get this going, you know? So entrepreneurship will do that to you. And I have some great days. I have some amazing days. I have some amazing weeks. I make great money with my entrepreneurship and with my job. But baby, have I had some rough days? Have I had some days I have cried and said I didn't want to do this anymore? I definitely have. I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you like this is just all sugar and Kool-Aid. Baby, it is not. We have some days. Entrepreneurship is not for the weak, and I'm the first one to tell you. That's why I'm being so real and so transparent with y'all about this. If y'all have any questions, if y'all have any concerns, if there's anything else that you want to know, leave them in the comments. I will answer them. You can send me a message on Instagram. You can send me a message on TikTok. Email me, whatever. I am willing to share information. I'm willing to, you know, do whatever. We can have a chat. We can talk. And another entrepreneur will tell you that. Like, it's great. I've met some great people. I've met some great friendships, or made some great friendships. You know, yes, I do get to make my own schedule. That is great. I get to spend as much time as I want with my kid, you know, all of that with my family. I take off, I do whatever. But then, like, there's times where I have to come in here and bust my butt to make up for them days that I wasn't working, you know? So I just say all this to say that entrepreneurship is great. Go for it and do it. But do it with the right mind, do it with an open mind, and make sure you do it with a strong mind, because it does get hard. It does get hard. I think I have touched on everything that I wanted to touch on, or at least the main things. Like I said, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or if you just want to chat, if you need me to reiterate on something, if you need me to go back in depth or go into more depth with a certain thing that you may be dealing with yourself, or you may agree on, you know, just let me know in the comments. I'm not one of the ones that don't respond, so I'm gonna respond to you. All right, guys, my camera died, but that brings me to the end of this video. Like I said, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment boxes below, and I will get back to them. And that's all, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.